Salutations, I am your anime hermit. Today we are gonna see the 10 worst things Cell did, ranked. Cell is one of the most interesting villains in the Dragon Ball universe. These are just some of the worst things he's ever done. Cell is a very interesting villain in a very interesting story arc. While Dragon Ball has never shielded from keeping central antagonists away from the action until the end of an arc. Cell was something of an anomaly, a villain introduced more than halfway through a story arc with almost no build-up. He's a genuine surprise for better and for worse. Cell's biggest flaw is also his greatest strength and inability to land on a role. He's constantly changing with his absorptions, not just physically, but in regards to how he composes himself. He becomes a bit more confident, but his actions are ruthless from start to finish. He's the scariest villain in the original series for good reason. Number 10. Left Trunks' future defenseless. This is arguably the cruelest thing Cell ends up doing, if only because of the consequences it would end up having on this Trunks timeline. After somehow successfully defeating his future's androids, this Trunks prepares to head back in time only to be ambushed by Cell at the last possible moment. Trunks is strangled to death by Cell's tail, and the future that Trunks saved is left completely defenseless. This means absolutely no one was around to stop Babidi and Dabra. They likely wouldn't have enough energy to awaken Boo, but the Earth is totally defenseless if they or any other potential threat decides to act. Number 9. Eradicated Ginger Town. Piccolo landing down on Ginger Town only to find the entire area littered with loose clothes is one of the most chilling sights in all of Dragon Ball. There's a sense of incomprehensible horror, and it's hard not to draw comparisons to the mythical Rapture. For a character who's randomly introduced halfway through an arc, Cell's introduction is terrific. There's a tense, tight atmosphere to the streets of Ginger Town. Piccolo doesn't spend too much time exploring before he meets her, but that full body shot of imperfect Cell is horrifying. He looks unlike anything else in the series beyond Alien. Number 8. Cell drank a dude on screen. The Cell arc is by far the goriest and grossest in Dragon Ball. Dr. Gero pops a man's head early on in the arc only to graphically impale Yamcha right away. There's some brutal action here, and Cell only escalates things. Worse yet, it's not aggressive like it is with Zero. Cell literally drinks people with his tail. In the manga, you slowly see a man drained of everything as Cell drinks him. It looks like his body is melting, but in truth, it's being consumed. This might very well be the most unsettling moment in the original series. No wonder the Boo arc tones things down. Number 7. Made time travel even more complicated. Dragon Ball's explanation for time travel was already a little hard to swallow with Trunks, but all future instances of time travel have just muddied the water further. Cell's time travel, in particular, adds a whole host of issues to the timeline. Who was the other Trunks he killed? Which timeline did he go to? How did Trunks defeat his androids? More importantly, which is the original timeline now? It can't be a future Trunks, so it must be Cell's, but that results in something so much darker. Cell also notably travels back in time before Trunks would have arrived, but Super explains traveling to a new date on the time machine causes a new timeline. Number 6. Tried to emotionally manipulate Android 18. Cell has something of a penchant for cruelty as evidenced by his conversation with Android 18 immediately after observing Android 17 and becoming semi-perfect, desperate to complete his perfection by any means necessary. Semi-perfect Cell taps into the Android 18 inside of him and attempts to make an emotional plea to 18 to let herself be absorbed. What's disturbing is that Android 18 even seems swayed by 17's presence. It isn't until Cell shows respect towards Dr. Zero under the guise of Android 17 that Android 18 calls him out on the act, saving herself from absorption for the time being. Number 5. Turned fear into sport. For whatever reason, some fans have a habit of saying Cell wasn't as evil as Piccolo, Vegeta, Frieza, or Boo, that he just wanted to be perfect and share a good fight with Goku. It's only once he's pushed that he starts to crack. But this completely ignores how he blatantly tells Trunks he wants to torture people and make them feel fear. Cell's true motivation isn't being perfect or fighting Goku, it's asserting his dominance over others. Cell just wants to be on top by any means necessary, and striking fear into the hearts of others not only allows him to do so, but it's fun for him. Number 4. Perverted the institution of the Tenkaichi Budokai. Cell is a fraud. He put on this big show about throwing a tournament that would rival even the Tenkaichi Budokai. But all he comes up with is a dingy ring and basically no rules. Everyone fighting Cell back to back isn't a tournament, it's just showboating. If Cell wanted a real tournament, he should have enforced tournament rules. Worse is when he outright acknowledges he was never going to let the fight end by ring out. Granted, never would Goku, but the latter likely would have respected the sanctity of tournament rules, considering how important the Tenkaichi Budokai is to him and the series as a whole. Number 3. Tried to blow up the earth like a sore loser. Cell never stood a chance the moment Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2. Arguably, he never stood a chance with Gohan at Super Saiyan 1, but his resolve just wasn't there. Gohan beats Cell mercilessly, getting revenge on Cell for torturing the Dragon team with his Cell Juniors. Gohan even punches Cell hard enough to knock 18 out of him. Tragically, Cell is a sore loser and uses this as an opportunity to try to blow himself up along with the earth. Goku is left with no choice but to transport himself and Cell off-world to Chaos so they can all die together away from the earth. Too bad Cell doesn't actually end up dying. Killed future Trunks. Not many villains get to kill the same character twice, but Cell nets himself 2 future Trunks kills. They are different versions of the same Trunks, but it's the same Cell killing 2 Trunkses. Keeping up after being a baby and trying to blow himself up, Cell comes back with a fury, basically his version of Super Saiyan to boot, to introduce his new super perfect self. Super perfect Cell shoots future Trunks right through the heart, killing him instantly. Worth noting, Trunks was the only main character at that point who hadn't died so narratively. It wasn't like Cell had many options. Still, it's very fitting Cell kills Trunks. Number 1. Replaced better villains. Cell's a fun villain with consistently great fights, but he is by far the weakest actual antagonist in his own story arc. Dr. Zero has a personal connection to Goku that could have made for some amazing storytelling. The android trio had fantastic chemistry, and their lack of conventional evil made their presence interesting. Cell is just Bug Frieza without anything that made Frieza compelling or interesting. Cell doesn't have the backstory, he doesn't have the presence, and his connection to the main characters feel weak. He has the best chemistry with Goku and it's genuinely great, but his dynamic with Gohan feels light.